Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lax rats alike, welcome back to another episode of the Crease Dive. Today is Monday, May 8th. We've got 17 teams left playing men's Division One lacrosse. The tournament is set and the race to Philadelphia for Memorial Day weekend is on. I am Jordie from Barstool. With me, as always, we've got Doogs on the mic. Doogs selection show last night. It all comes down to this. Honestly, I don't think a lot of surprises. At least I don't think so. So how do you feel after these 17 teams were selected for the tournament?
It's kind of impressive for Donna to, I would say, get the bracket and get the seedings mostly correct and still look like a fucking bozo after some rules come out. Like we were just talking before the show, just about like for anyone out there how they had the rule about like they didn't want rematches and like the way that they were coming up with the seating is dumb. Donna, I think, got the bracket right and still ended up being the biggest loser of the night. So just shout out to Donna for being a consistent loser year after year. Some things don't change. The seedings change, but something's consistent. And that's Donna being a loser.
Yeah, and one thing on that, I mean, I know that Donna isn't technically on the
Yeah.
committee this year, but like here's the thing. Donna's not a person, right?
Yes.
Donna's a machine. Like Donna, there was someone just using Donna's body. Like there was just a body for Donna to be in last year during the selection committee. Like that was just a cog in the wheel, right? Donna is a mindset, and it's just it's the puppeteer, right? Like just moving everything together. So I know that Donna physically wasn't on the selection committee this year. That doesn't mean that she wasn't the one orchestrating these strings. So yeah, I mean, credit to her. The bracket, really, I don't have a ton of hangups on the bracket, but yeah, it was hilarious. So I forget. So Inside Lacrosse put this out. Important note: the NCAA does not seed beyond the top 8. Two main considerations for first round matchups are avoiding conference rematches and limiting the number of flights to 2. The threshold for a bus trip is 400 miles. So part of me understands the travel can, like, if there's like a, I'm not saying like a team that should be like a 15 seed should jump up to an 11 just because it makes it easier for travel. But like if you're like flirting between like anywhere from like 13 to 15, I don't like have like a huge hang up on that. It does make it easier for everybody. The avoiding conference rematches is like what the fuck are we doing here? Right?
Yeah.
Like
What's
I
the
have no
point?
idea why that should be. Like at this point, like fuck conferences. At this point of the season, you've got 17 teams. Who cares what conference they're in? Like just
Right.
because we just saw them play each other in the Big Ten like 4 times in a row, if they deserve to be where they're ranked, where they deserve to be where they're ranked, then who gives a shit?
Yeah, I think that was it's an insane rule because I also part of the part of the reason you get like losses, I feel like in the regular season, is so you can like get that chance to pay back redemption in the tournament. Um, I think that's honestly one of the stupidest things. I wish they came out and they said, no, we're purposely trying to do rematches. We're like setting up rematches for the quarterfinals or something. Like, I don't know. I thought the whole thing was dumb,
Yeah.
dumb, dumb, dumb.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree. I know that good friend of the program was Dan Arestia was having a fun little time with the bit about travel costs last night during the selection show. But I again, like I unless we get like Joe Tsai to come out here and just foot the bill for everyone's plane rides, like then whatever. And for the most part, I mean, who's hopping on a plane anyway, right? It's just going to be what I guess Utah, Notre Dame. So,
Mm-hmm.
real quick before we even keep going, the quick little peek behind the curtain for everybody listening or watching on YouTube. Dukes, are we cutting out internet wise? I know that you seem a little bit frozen to me. Am I frozen to you?
No,
Okay,
no,
you're coming through. You're just a little bit glitchy, but I hear everything that you're saying.
no, no, no. Everything's good. On my end. Everything's good.
All right. Well, yeah, so let's kind of go down. Listen, I think we all knew Duke, Virginia, Notre Dame were going to be the top 3 seeds, right? They've clearly separated themselves from the rest of the pack so far this season. The only teams that can really take them down are themselves. So, I mean, are you surprised at all at the order of them? Right, I think that Duke kind of earned that 1 seed. They had the fewest amount of slip ups between the all of them, but I know that you're the biggest Notre Dame guy on the internet. Are you a little salty that Virginia got that 2nd seed, despite the fact that Virginia beat Notre Dame twice in the regular season?
No, I think it would be so dumb if Virginia was a number 2. Like again, there's this. It's where would Notre Dame be if they played Duke twice instead of Virginia twice? You can make the argument the number 1 seed. So it's just the way that this trio works out. Is Duke's better than Notre Dame is better than Duke. Virginia can't beat Duke, right?
Yeah.
Virginia can't beat Duke. Notre Dame beats Duke. Notre Dame definitely can't beat Virginia.
It's a what is it? It's a paradox, right?
Yeah, it's just like the way
it,
they don't. Yeah, the 3 of them they have. It's like a very toxic relationship where it's just like they like I don't know. They have to. I firmly believe that Notre Dame's if we don't have to play Virginia, we're winning the national championship, and I think they will too.
Yeah, but they're probably going to end up having to play them in the Final Four. So tough break for them. I mean, I think, listen, it's kind of the same thing. Like we'll talk about, and we can even get into this right now, where if we want to go on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So you got the first 3 teams that are in, the last 3 teams that were fighting for that spot, right? You had Yale, Penn, and Denver. And, I get listen, I've been over the past 7 days or so, and maybe even for a little bit longer than that, I've been the number 1 Yale hater on the internet. With that being said, listen, between those 3 teams, Yale easily deserves to be the one that gets in. Obviously, it'd be nice to storybook ending for Bill Tierney at Denver. If Denver was able to get that one last tournament game in, but at the end of the day, Yale beat Denver in the regular season. So I don't know how you would put Denver in over Yale. And Penn just hasn't done nearly enough this year to be deserving of an at-large. So I mean, Yale gets it done. And as a number 1 hater of Yale, as a guy who has really found just a hatred that's burning so hot in my heart right now, especially for the fan base. I'm so glad that they're in this tournament, because now I get to hate them for another week. I get to hate them for one more Saturday, at least. I'll be honest. I think I might even be able to hate them a little bit longer this season, because I would put Georgetown on quote unquote upset alert. I mean, listen, they got upset last year as a 2 seed. Let's not act like they can't get upset again this year as a 7 seed. And would love to see Virginia versus Yale in the quarterfinals. Just going back to the battles that they've had in the tournaments over the past couple of years.
Yeah, no, I think that it would be dumb not to put Georgetown on upset alert, given also their soft-ish Big East schedule. They had a great Big East tournament, murdered Providence, and then kind of kicked the shit out of. No, they did kick the shit out of Denver. So yeah, I think Georgetown you have to put on upset alert, just given that I feel like they haven't really been tested. Well, Yale kicked the shit out of a Cornell team that I think is Final Four good. Chase Erland didn't have his day, but I mean, gotta tip your cap to Yale. How about I'll give this up. Leo Johnson, I believe it was, who smacked that Cornell kid on the ass after that goal. It was one of the most hateable things I've ever seen in my life. It was so disrespectful. I don't know how a punch wasn't thrown, and it made me pumped that has Yale lost that swagger that they're the most hated team in the country. They know it, and they just kind of eat it up. And I was wondering did COVID kind of get rid of it, because they don't really have the senior leadership that was on these 2018 teams, these Final Four teams. Leo Johnson smacking that kid gas might have Yale all the way back. Yale might be a foot into Philly after that smack in the ass.
So no.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. One, listen, I'm glad that you went with the hateable approach to it because it was extremely hateable. I was a little bit nervous when you first brought this up that you'd be like Leo Johnson smacking that kid on the ass. Like that was fucking awesome. Like this team's back. Like no, like, it is so fucking hateable and fuck that team. But here's the thing. During the Ivy League championship game, when Yale was getting their dicks stomped in, right? Like Yale's dicks were so inverted into their own body after getting just stomped and stomped and stomped by Princeton time and time again. But at one point, I forget who it was on Princeton, but scored a goal from like pretty much like right inside the box. Yale defender fell down, like trying to close out on him. Princeton defender kind of like points out on him, like probably said like something along the lines of like, yeah, you little bitch. And then the Yale defenseman like got up and tried to chase him down like off the field. First off, they were already losing by like 8 at this point. And second of all, you can't be the team. If you're going to dish it out, you got to expect it to come back to you, right? Like you can't be salty about some guy taunting you while you're on the ground when you've got Leo Johnson smacking guys on the ass. So that right there just proves to me that they're a team. They can dish it out, but they can't take it back. And that's the epitome of mental fragility to me. So I don't think that Yale has what it takes to deal with adversity in the tournament. When things are going really well for them, yeah, they're a wagon. They can get it going and they can feed off of that juice. The moment the wheels start falling off the wagon, boom, this team is fucking cooked.
Hand up, I didn't know that. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it was
that might be more hateable. That's equally, in my opinion, as hateable, but in the worst sense. Like not like you can't even say like that's the type of guy that I want on my team. Like like he's so hateable. That's the type of guy you hate to play against him. You love to play with him. Like that's like your. I don't even know. I don't even. I'm talking about a kid I don't even know, but you know what I'm saying. Fuck that.
I know exactly what you're saying. But yeah, so. Well, so we just brought up Princeton after they just stomped out Yale in the Ivy League championship. Princeton right now, they are playing some dangerously good ball. And they had, I mean, yes, they had a hang up about halfway through their season where they went through a gauntlet of teams and just couldn't get anything going for them. But right now they're playing some of their best lacrosse of the season. They've got number 5 Penn State, right? So they come in here, Ivy League champs, and they've got Penn State, who we've mentioned before. Great bounce back year for Tambroni. I mean, the Trainer brothers just going off this year for Penn State. Malone, an absolute stud. I think that, they've got a solid goalie. They're winning some faceoffs. I think the Penn State's a really good team who unfortunately were just one of the, what was it, like 5 teams that ended up being the 1 seed in their conference tournament and then lost in the semifinals. So, I mean, maybe Penn State got hurt a little bit by having the week off and they just didn't look nearly as good as they could have against Michigan in that semifinal, but Princeton right now looks really good. So if there's one other team besides Georgetown that I'd have on upset alert, it would be Penn State going down to Princeton.
Yeah, Princeton looked very impressive yesterday in the Ivy League championship. I think we've been alluding to it for a couple episodes now, but like there's just a couple teams, like again, 1 through 3, 1 through 4, and a bunch of teams that I really believe are on upset alert. Penn State's definitely one of them. It's not like they're a killer at the specialist spots at goalie and face off. They're good. Yeah, I think that Princeton definitely has the juice. I think they kind of figured out their face off situation after Sandoval went down. And yeah, I think Princeton definitely could get a dub this weekend.
Is there any other team right now, any other seeded team that you would put on upset alert? The Doogs ears just perking up at anything here?
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, look, I love Cornell. You're talking about we were talking about this. We're going to find out now. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks. Which team has the most complete face-off unit? Is it Cornell or Michigan? Michigan, one of the hottest teams in the country. one of my favorite teams to watch. Go Blue. Cornell potentially on upset alert, I believe. Bomb's really good. What's the guy with the Z name?
Zawada.
He's so good. I love watching Justin Brown, the midfielder, and he moves and he has 5 yards of separation. If this kid hit net, like just at a 22% clip, he's legitimately an all pro.
What was that? His first goal in like 22 shots?
Yeah, and someone was like, I said I tweeted out immediately. I just go pro, and someone was like, no, that's his first goal of the season, and it was like the first time it's legitimately the first play I've seen him play. I saw one play and I was like, that. I'm not kidding though. I think he could actually. I talked myself into this. Paul Rabel liked my tweet, so put the tinfoil cap on. I think that we got a pro on our hands. But he like just like the guy moved and had 5 yards separation between him and the defender. I was like, holy fuck. That rip that shot was a 2-pointer in the PLL on the run lefty.
Yeah, I mean it was a big time. It was a big time splash. Listen, here's what I'll say about Michigan. Anyone who's been following me on Twitter over the past couple weeks, anyone who's been listening to the podcast over the past couple weeks, you know that I've fallen deeply and madly in love with the Michigan Wolverines. This team, they seem like a team of destiny. At the very least, they seem like America's team right now. Just, to think about where this program has now brought themselves to, right? Like it's been years where everyone's like, dude, how is Michigan not better, right? Like you've got this incredible school, you've got these incredible facilities, like it should be so easy to recruit kids there, and just year after year they haven't been able to get it done. They've been building, but they haven't been able to get it done. So it was great to see them finally get into this spotlight, win the conference tournament, get into the NCAA tournament. So congrats to the boys, congrats to Coach Connery, congrats to everyone who came before them to get them to this point. My heart wants Michigan so bad in this game, but my brain knows that it's been such an emotional ride for them over the past couple weeks. There's got to be a letdown somewhere. What goes up always comes back down. Huge emotional week for Michigan. They're probably feeling better than they've ever felt before. They've probably got alumni, fired, like group chats going crazy. The only thing is that there's still lacrosse to be played. And I think that Cornell has the pedigree, right? They were in the final. They were playing for the national championship last year, and they've got a little bit more fire under their ass after going down in the Ivy League semifinals. So Cornell, they've proven that they're one of the best teams in the country this year, all year long, except for the Ivy League semifinal. They've got the fire under their ass. Michigan flying a little. I just don't want them to be flying too close to the sun. So give me a great game. Again, my heart really wants Michigan in this one. Wants it so bad. I just don't see that happening.
Right. I think that Michigan could pull up the win, but I do agree at the end of the day with you. I think Cornell does win. I guess like another like, are we going to put Maryland on upset alert?
No.
I'm not either. I think people talking about that. That's a trendy pick.
It's going to be a trendy pick, right? Because and listen, this is another thing too, where like I'm trending towards being a big time Maryland hater, and I want to clarify something on that. I'm not a Maryland hater. I'm just so out on John Tillman right now and his goddamn antics, and we'll get to the Connery handshake in just a minute here. But one, for starters, the month of May belongs to Maryland. It has for the past decade, and it'll continue to belong to Maryland for a much longer time. Army wins the Patriot League championship. Good for them. We've said before, like Army they're good, sure, but like who have they beaten this year? Nobody. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not. Listen, I love the troops. Thank you for your service. But you guys are. Listen, you're running into a team where like this, like the Army, like they defend the country, like that's what they do. The U.S. military is the best in the world, and they will stomp out anyone who tries to come our way. They're so goddamn good at that. It's what they've been bred to do. here's the thing: they haven't been bred to beat Maryland in an NCAA tournament game.
Right.
That's what Maryland does. What Maryland does better than almost anybody in the country, anybody in the world, is win lacrosse games in the month of May. So no, I'm not putting Maryland on upset alert. Give me a good tight game, but not upset alert.
I'll tell you too, stone cold locks. This is, don't look at the number, just take it. Notre Dame's going to kick the crap out of Utah. And when I mean kick the crap out of Utah, they are going to win. Like, this is not even like Maryland, Notre Dame, 2021, like Notre Dame by 5. This is Notre Dame by like 10 plus. This is going to be like a Cleveland State Notre Dame game. Why do I say that? Utah has kicked the shit out of ASUN opponents, put up goals against ASUN opponents. They have not faced a goalie like Liam Entman this year. They have not faced a defender like Chris Fake this year. They have not faced a defensive unit like Notre Dame this year. Notre Dame knows that Utah's coming in as this high-profile Golden State Warriors run and gun offense that's going to try to put up a lot of goals on you. One, Notre Dame could do that right back to you. You're looking at 2 of the top 5 goals per game. I think Notre Dame's going to kick the shit though out of Utah. Notre Dame's going to get their points. It's if Utah gets theirs. Second, Virginia's going to kick the shit out of Richmond. Those are my 2 stone cold locks.
Like, yeah,
don't think about it. Just take it.
I've been seeing people with the take that and I forget who. So earlier in the season, so these 2 teams played against each other at the beginning of March. So this was, for all intents and purposes, years ago. But March 4th, we had Richmond taking the trip to Virginia, and they go down 25-8. A lot of people saying things like, "Oh, well, it's going to be closer this time, right? Like Richmond's finding it out." Who gives a fuck, dude? No, it's not going to be closer. Like, again, this is what Virginia does. Like, the only reason why it wouldn't be, and maybe this is what you were about to get to, is just because Virginia's kind of taken their foot off the pedal the past like 7 days, and then they're going to go into this game, and they're probably going to know, like, hey, like, we can just roll out of bed and smack the shit out of Richmond. So 25-8, what's that? Quick math, 17 goals. I think that maybe this one comes. Yeah, you want it to be closer. It'll be a 12-goal game.
Yeah, and it comes down to this, like, figuring it out against 2. Like, the A10's a great conference. I think the A10 was built. I'm big on the A10 conference in general. I think that they have a lot of good lacrosse schools, and I think that, like, eventually it could become even better than, like, the Big East. But let's not kid ourselves. Like, Virginia, when Virginia wants to turn it on, they're going to turn it on. And, like, I think Schellenberger, I think Dixon, I think that whole core of, like, Sawstead, everybody, like, this is low-key. Not gonna say their last run because Virginia just reload, but, like, some of the identity that they've had from these championship teams, like the last kind of pieces from those championship teams, this is their last 2 out together. So, yeah, I think Virginia is not going to take anything for granted. I think they're just going to roll. It's not on to the next one. I think it's just kill mode now.
Yeah, big agree on that one. Hopkins Bryant is one where I don't really have a feel for it, mainly because I don't know much about Bryant, if we're being totally honest. I do know, I noticed, and maybe they've done this for a couple years now, but Bryant historically has had some of the most dog shit uniforms in all of college lacrosse when they were wearing the Adidas. They always look so fucking bad, and they're one of those teams that like always had like the black cleats and black socks, and like that never does it for me. But I got a chance to watch that game against Albany in the America East final, and they look the part now, right? They've got the New Balance uniforms, they've got the Warrior helmet, so they look the part. I don't know much about Bryant. I mean, just looking at their,
give me your take though. Give me your take on Bryant. Make up a take about Bryant. Let's just let's start something up.
Right.
People are going to see Bryant for the first time this weekend.
My take on Bryant is that they're going to grind you down, right? They're going to make it hard for you to, get any advantage between the boxes. I think that they're going to play some really good 6-on-6 defense. They're going to make you work for your opportunities. I think that they're a team that, they're really going to take advantage of unsettled situations. And I'm not saying in transition that they're going to push it, but maybe some broken plays. I think they're a team that can really get some juice from that. So everything that I've seen from Bryant this year leads me to believe that they're going to be a tough out.
Yeah.
And everything that I've seen from Hopkins this year leads me to believe that I'm just not quite sure who they are. I think that
Yeah.
Hopkins has a chance, and you might call me crazy here. Hopkins has Final Four potential.
Yeah. I saw
Like
that. I saw that route.
I don't think that it's completely out of the picture for a Hopkins Notre Dame matchup in the quarterfinals, and for Hopkins to just play the game of their lives and win that one.
Everything has
I
to go
think it's
right for Hopkins that game, though. Everything has to go right
yes,
for Hopkins that game. The defensive matchups, yes, for sure. But again, who has the Kavanaughs?
very fair point. But
It's also Tim Marseille. Tim Marseille. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Tim Marseille, the Hopkins goalie, he does have that. I know. Shout out to Diggs. He has the him Marseille in him, where he can just get 70% save plus, and that will win you a game. So he has a chance to win you a game. He has that X factor to him.
Yeah, I think that Tim Marseille is actually. I think that he's like the epitome of Hopkins lacrosse this year, where he has the ability to again, like you said, and shout out Diggs, the him Marseille, he can take over a game. He can also be really bad.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of where I'm juggling what Hopkins team is going to show up in May here. So I mean, like you said, if we get a Hopkins Notre Dame matchup in the quarterfinals, everything would have to go Hopkins' way in order to win that one. But there are a lot of teams out there where even if everything went their way, they still don't beat Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? So that's that's where I think Hopkins is at a point. They're a team that can beat Notre Dame if everything goes their way, and there aren't many of those teams out there. So they have Final Four potential. It just depends on what version of Hopkins we see show up in the tournament. But yeah, I don't know. I bullshitted my way into talking myself into thinking that Bryant keeps it close, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. But that's the beauty of the take. I got Hopkins in a nail biter there.
I'm taking Hopkins, but I'll also say something that I wanted to draw back to is if you listen back to what Jordie said about how Bryant can grind you out and his, because the number one Bryant supporter over here, you could basically say that about any team that wears black socks, just for the record. Like Army, you could say that about I know you were getting it, but just any team that wears black socks in the future, just take what Jordie said and be like, yep, that's how they're gonna play.
They're not going to beat you with skill. They're not going to beat you with skill.
Dude, I think that if I was you should just get the whole Springfield Blacks team just to wear black socks and just throw everybody off.
I would quit. If I had one kid show up to play a game for me wearing black socks, I'd send him home.
That's so funny. Yeah, I tend to agree. Dude, those guys slide high and late.
Dangerously high, dangerously late. All right. So far, the only matchup that we haven't touched on yet is Duke, and they'll be taking on the winner of Delaware versus Marist. Delaware and Marist, the play-in game on Wednesday at 7 p.m. I mean, I like Delaware a lot. I think that Delaware probably takes care of Marist, and I think that I mean, it'll be interesting to see what that defense can do holding up against Duke. Obviously, we all know about Owen Grant. I think Delaware's got a pretty solid goalie. And then if they're able to get a couple stops, they've got the guys on offense who can do something with the ball, right? Ty Kurtz, Mike Robinson, guys that are definitely lethal enough to get by just that absolute mountainous Duke defense. Maybe not. I don't see any slip up there for Duke, but I do think that Duke versus Delaware could be a fun game to get us into the tournament.
Yeah, I think that'll be a fun game. I think that Duke kind of got a tough draw there, but at the same sense, you're gonna have to beat everyone you play. So there's just fucking win. I got Duke, of course. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know. We'll probably touch on Final Fours. I mean, eventually. But do you have all chalk?
So in the Final Four, this does seem in my heart, I don't want it to be, but my brain, I'm thinking that this year's Final Four is going to be brought to us by Shark Chalk. I think that Shark Chalk is going to be the presenting sponsor of the Final Four. I do like those top 4 seeds, and I think that that would honestly be probably the best for lacrosse. I think that we're going to get right. Think about Memorial Day weekend. You've got the casuals, the people who never watched lacrosse at all over the course of the season. They're flipping through the channels. They know, oh yeah, there's lacrosse on. Like it's the Final Four. Like let me just tune in for a second here. And I think that Duke versus Maryland and Notre Dame versus Virginia is going to give them the most compelling games to watch. One, they're going to be programs that they at least know the names of, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think. I think that those are the games that are going to draw people in, have them keep the game on for a little bit,
Right.
and then it'll end up being a really good weekend for lacrosse. Now, going into the quarterfinals, I'm not going chalk around the board. I think I like Yale to get that win over Georgetown, and I'm really talking myself into Princeton getting that win over
Oh,
Penn State.
I think Princeton should be favored.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at what happened during the regular season, and didn't Penn State or did I don't know if Penn State and Princeton played. Now that I'm thinking about it off the top of my head, I know that Princeton ended up losing to Maryland, Georgetown. I mean, that was a tough go that they went in, but I don't know if I would. I'd say pick them at best.
No, they won't actually be favored, but I want.
But yeah, so I like those two teams to move on. So we won't get total chalk all the way through. But my Final Four, yeah, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. Doogs, your Final Four predictions?
I think Maryland is. It was shockingly after all this. I think Maryland is my biggest lock to be in the Final Four. Like I think they have the best draw out of any of the teams. I think that Maryland beats Army, and I think they either beat Penn State or Princeton. Now going to the Virginia side, I think Virginia probably gets it done again. I mean, Georgetown has the talent, but I still think Virginia is better. That's like I think Virginia beats Yale, but I think that Georgetown could make things a little bit interesting. Nothing to lose, have the talent there. I believe Notre Dame will get there. I think that Hopkins will give them the scare, but I do believe that Notre Dame gets there. The one that's intriguing for me is a potential Duke Cornell matchup. I think Cornell can beat Duke. I think Duke's obviously, I think the world of them, but I think that Cornell can give them a scare. It's interesting for sure. I don't know which way to go there. It would be pretty funny if it was like 8-2-3-4 or whatever instead of 1-2-3-4. But yeah, I'm probably just gonna go all chalk. Fuck it. Let me switch it up. I'm going Cornell, Maryland, Notre Dame, Virginia.
Yeah, but I mean, if we all right, so let's say like this was a week ago, right before the Ivy League tournament, and let's say so forget about the Ivy League tournament. If the seedings came out last week and it was 1 Duke, 2 Virginia, 3 Notre Dame, 4 Cornell, I think that everyone would probably agree with that. So
yes,
yeah. So I mean, are they an 8 seed? Technically, yes. Like, was that just because of an off week and they could have realistically been a 4 seed? Yeah. So like at the end of the day, it's not that like crazy to think 2, 3, 4, 8 in the Final Four, considering who that 8 team is. Yeah, I mean, there's been some chatter about if Cornell's defense has been falling off as of late. I don't necessarily disagree with it. And I think if Cornell's going to have any hope of getting that win over Duke in the quarterfinals, they're going to need to figure that out soon, because you don't need me to tell you how many weapons Duke is loaded with on offense. So that's going to be a big test for them. They've got what they've got 2 weeks here to lock in their defense. They just have to take care of business against Michigan this Saturday, and then they'll have to figure it out next Saturday against Duke. Real quick, let's just run through the schedule Obviously, we've got Marist and Delaware as the play-in game, 7 p.m. on Wednesday. The Saturday slate of games, it gets going at noon. We've got Richmond and Virginia at noon. You've got Utah, Notre Dame, 2:30. Yale and Georgetown at 5 p.m. Army and Maryland at 7:30. Nice little night game for the Terps there. On Sunday, get all your shit done early because we've got the same schedule for Sunday. We've got Bryant and Hopkins at noon, Michigan, Cornell. That's a 2:30 game. Marist, or the winner of the play-in game versus Duke at 5, and it all wraps up. Princeton, Penn State, 7:30. So 9 games coming up here this week. The race is on.
Yeah. I'm excited for the weekend. We'll have another episode coming out later this week. Did you want to talk? Like you were thinking about, I want to hear your take. This is about Maryland because one, Kevin Connery, John Tillman handshake line. What were your thoughts on Tillman kind of brushing off his former assistant coach?
Yeah, I don't want it to get mixed. I'm not a Maryland hater. Love the team a lot. Think they've got a lot of really great guys on that team. And I love the majority of the staff a lot. Big fan of the Bernhardts. Bernhardts might be my favorite family in lacrosse. Kavanaughs are running up there right now, but I think the Bernhardts are just all around guys, all around dudes. What we've seen out of Tillman this year is just gutless coward move after gutless coward move. So whether it's calling for a stick check on a face-off guy, whether it's the mentioning to the refs in the Ohio State game about the glove gate, and now, yeah, I mean, not only do you lose to Michigan in the Big Ten championship, you get fucking worked by Michigan in the Big Ten championship. This is a guy who was on your staff when you won a national championship in 2017, right? I'm pretty sure he was on that staff.
Yes.
And so I mean, dude, that's a huge win for Kevin Connery. First time as a head coach winning a conference championship. First time that Michigan wins the Big Ten championship. Like a pretty pivotal moment for that program. I'm not saying that John Tillman has to like walk up to him. You don't have to like hug and kiss the guy and be like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Like you've worked so hard for this. And I just can't tell you how much it means for me to see you with this success. At the same time, give the man a handshake, tell him good luck,
Right.
say congratulations on the win, and like be like, hey, like you deserve it, and then move on. Like it doesn't need to be a conversation, but the fact that he just like basically just like limp handed him and walked out of there like as quick as possible. Just ridiculous. I mean, that right there, that was worse to me than Glovegate. Glovegate is because you've made the argument before where Glovegate is just trying to find a competitive advantage and using the rule book to your, to help you get a win. I don't agree with it, but there's at least some justification there. Just fucking blowing off Kevin Connery in the handshake line. There's no justification for that besides the fact that Tillman is just lacks character. No, not a character guy, not a guy that I would follow into war.
So I said that if Tillman won the national championship, I'd be like kind of like on Maryland's, like I'd be rooting for Maryland a little bit because it's that Belichick-esque, like fuck you, like just I'm gonna walk back a take. Because something came across my desk this weekend. And I was saving this for the episode. I haven't texted you about this. I got an interesting DM. Do you know who is on the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Rules Committee?
Is Tillman
John
not on
Tillman.
it?
John Tillman's on it. Fucking bullshit. Like, that wasn't just a guy knowing the rule book. That's a guy that knows the rules. That's a guy that makes the rules. So I don't know, tinfoil cap. I'm just saying, like, it used to be like, oh, that was a sneaky move. Now it's like, no, he probably fucking made the rules. Like, keep that in.
Yeah, but I mean, that to me, that's almost more. It's not exactly Belichickian, but like that's.
Yeah, I agree where you're going with this take, and I like that take better.
It's diabolical. It's mischievous to the ultimate degree. It is it's just some all-time tomfoolery.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's like putting in extra work, like the work that no other coaches want to do. They're like, oh, I want to go to like the beach, or like I don't want to recruit as much, like blah blah. Someone's like, no, I'll go to like a rules committee retreat in Wyoming to make the rules
But
play some golf.
but here's the thing. So like to me, what that is and what you're explaining, like John Tillman's a politician, right? You think about
Yeah,
what politicians do. They do all the
right,
work that no one actually like no one wants to like run for like a town board and do all that shit and then work their way up the political ladder. Politicians are the greasiest, slimiest, backstabbing motherfuckers on
right,
the planet. They are bad, bad people, but they do the shit that other people don't want to do. They take advantage of that shit, and then they all end up being filthy, filthy rich at the end of it. So they're successful. They're absolute pieces of shit, and that's kind of what we're seeing now with John Tillman in lacrosse.
right.
He's writing the rule book. He knows it all. He's doing all the shit that no one wants to do. He's being successful because of it, but at the end of the day, I don't agree with it. Right? Nancy Pelosi can get fucked. And right now I'm kind of in the I think that John Tillman is the Nancy Pelosi of college lacrosse. There's a take. That might be a take that I'll end on.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. That sounded like a Shane Gillis thing. Fucking Nancy Pelosi's a bitch. One of my favorites. one of my favorite things from a stand-up set. But yeah, I got pretty much nothing else. I mean, we'll have the episode like to preview the games. That was kind of just a needed to sleep on a take, needed to process the selection show as well as Succession. So it was good to get some rest in before going straight to the mics. But yeah, I got nothing else.
All right. Well, yeah, it all gets going on Wednesday. You know what we should do, Dukes? And this is again a little peek behind the curtain. We're doing some scheduling right now. Let's fire up the weekend preview episode. Let's hit the mics after the Delaware Maris
Wednesday.
game wraps up. Yep.
Perfect.
So we'll have that episode out for you guys on Thursday. In the meantime, make sure that you are following us Twitter and Instagram. We're at the Crease Dive on both TikTok, Stool Crease Dive. Make sure that you guys, listen, final push of the college lacrosse season. This is May. This is what it all means. The least you can do for the boys, hammer that subscribe button on YouTube. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell all your enemies. Hit the subscribe button. Let's get those numbers up. And in the meantime, we'll be keeping it low to high until the day we die. We out.